What's going on?
What's up, my brother?
Russian. My first order of business is to close the gate so nobody else comes in.
It looks like a beautiful day.
You're from the South. You can guess what it's like today. It's hot.
And muggy.
Like, can it be like a log? Can it be over 100% humidity?
Well, you walk outside and it feels like you're walking through something hard, not air.
Yeah, no. It's like trying to walk through soup.
There's this invisible ghost.
Yeah. The humidity is the broth, and the mosquitoes are the, I don't know, peas and corn or whatever. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just rushing. I was like, I can't be late.
Fine. We're not that formal.
Yeah. But there's no non-snobby way of not sounding snobby when you're telling your customer they have to leave because you have to be on the internet now. You know?
I got an interview, buddy.
It's very prestigious. He's interviewing only several thousand random people from the internet. It's really hard to get interviewed on this thing.
So how you doing?
Good. We're surprisingly busy. A couple months ago, I was sort of joking, not joking, that we might need to start Googling bankruptcy attorney when they started shutting everything down. But the scare lasted for 3 days, and then we've been busier than ever. So it's kind of weird.
Good. Okay, so tell us your name and where you're from.
I'm Jason from Houston, and I own Helmwood Urban Lumber.
So have you always lived in Houston?
Since I was 7. I was born in Utah. We moved here, and my dad got a job with a NASA contractor.
Okay. All right. Have you been back to Utah?
Not in a long time. It's a beautiful place.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Where's your family?
My mom and her husband live just south of us, like down Clear Lake, near NASA. We're north of Houston, and I got family kind of all over the West Coast.
Your mom and her husband, not your dad.
Right. Yeah, they got married when I was like 19.
Okay.
So awesome guy, just doesn't happen to be my dad.
Listen, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good of any parental figure as I have. He's awesome. He just didn't happen to be my dad.
Right. Not biologically, anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start with the questions, and then we get into the conversation.
Okay.
Word or phrase you overuse?
I have no idea. Probably just strings of expletives.
All right, what is your least favorite thing to do?
I don't like cleaning. I'm tidy, but I don't enjoy it.
What is your most favorite thing to do?
I'm pretty big on motorcycles. I race motorcycles for a hobby, and I'm pretty into that. Before I started this business, I had sold another business. I was trying to find a way to make money in the motorcycle world because I love that, and I couldn't unlock the code. Nothing seemed like a good idea, but motorcycles would definitely be it.
Motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you done that?
I started riding in 2008, so not super duper long. And then I started going to the track around 2013 and racing in probably 2015 or something like that.
Right. What would your spouse like to change about you?
How much time do you have? No.
We got about another 40 minutes.
Cool. So it's just couples therapy minus the other half. She'd probably like me to put down my phone.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
What makes you tick?
Oh, that's a big question. I like accomplishing things that are hard, and I I enjoy the process of refinement, if that makes sense. So getting incrementally better at something.
Yep, growth.
Yep. So rather than switching from this thing to that thing to that thing to that thing, it's just get better and better and better and better at this one thing. Now that said, I'm not the type of person that spends their Saturday night practicing dovetails or anything like that, but that's something I really like. I like to deep dive pretty hard on it.
All right. If you were to travel across the country on a motorcycle, who would it be?
Where would I go?
If you were to travel across the country on a motorcycle with someone, who would it be?
Probably my wife.
Okay.
I have I've got 2 friends that I do travel with on motorcycles a lot. And so that would be really great. The funny thing is we always look forward to those trips so much, and we camp on the back of the bike. So we'll ride somewhere and camp for a week and ride all week. Everything you have has to fit on the bike. And we get there and we get all set up, and it's something we've been planning for months. And we get there and we all miss our spouses immediately. We're like, this is awesome. I wish they were here to experience this with us. This would be awesome,
All right. If you and your wife were in a bar and a fight broke out, would she be more likely to call the police or get the gun?
Her?
Her.
Oh, she'd call the police. She's a rule follower.
All right. What irks you the most?
I have whatever the thing is called where I have a unreasonable reaction to people that chew loud. So that can get under my skin pretty fast. I've been woken from a slumber because someone was chewing a hamburger too loud and just mad. It's dumb. It's just, you just have to learn to keep your mouth shut, and
it's one of those things.
It just is, yeah.
What sound makes you happiest?
Not people that chew loud.
All right. So I guess we know the answer to the next question. What sound bothers you the most?
Yeah, that would be that. At the moment, we have a 2-year-old, and almost anything she says is probably the sound I like the most. So she says, "I love you, Daddy." It's just like, ah. It's kind of hard to beat.
Those beautiful sounds.
Yeah.
What is your favorite cuss word?
All the classics are great.
You gotta go far looking for that one, right?
Yeah.
Other than your profession, what else? Other than your current profession, what other profession would you like to try?
I would love to be a professional motorcycle racer. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen.
You keep going back to that.
Yeah, it's just something I enjoy a lot, But it's like I turned 39 this year. I'm not fast enough to do it, and I'm 20 years too old, that's just life. But other professions, I know I'm really interested in a lot of different stuff. I was never someone that liked school very much, but I always like learning stuff, if that makes sense. So I can get interested in a bunch of things, but just I've had a few different professions already, and so who knows? I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't know any of this existed about 6 years ago, and here I am. So
a whole nother world.
Oh yeah, we're like, where were all these people? I've been alive for decades, and I've never heard of anybody wanting a log cut into slabs, and now they're literally just coming up the driveway finding me.
Right. Not only one, there are many.
Yeah.
What would you want on your tombstone?
He tried. I don't know.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
All you need to do is try.
Yeah.
All right. So now we get into the conversation.
Okay.
So we start from when you were in high school to the different things that led you to where you are now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still sweating from being outside earlier.
Yeah, I'll be doing that shortly.
The makeup girl didn't show up, so I'm shiny.
See, you're on your own.
Yeah. So I went to a public high school, but that was for kids that were having trouble in the normal school environment. And because I have an August birthday and because I figured out how to kind of work the way that school worked, I graduated at 16, which is cool, and also meant that I wasn't really ready probably for the next step. You know, a couple of decades later, I can see that. At the time, I was like, this is awesome, school sucks, you know? So I kind of floundered around in community college, and then when I was 19, I got licensed to be a stockbroker, and I was working as a stockbroker, and that was in Houston. It was a small little local company, but their broker dealer was out of Dallas. But that was when I was studying for my Series 7 and my 63, which are the tests you have to take to do that. They were everybody was making a ton of money, and then right about the time I passed my test and started working, the .com bubble burst, and then not too long after that was 9/11, and I mean, I worked for a year to make tens of dollars, you know. it was horrible. I left that because I got an opportunity to go run a restaurant in Wimberley, which is like in the hill country, when I was 20. And that didn't pan out for a very weird reason that's long. There's a con artist involved. Stole a lot of money. And oddly enough, we literally just found out, I think last week, he's been arrested. He was convicted last year. He's in jail for several years now. Not for us, for something he did.
So finally someone caught up with him.
Yeah, and it wasn't what he did with us. It was something he's done since. So then I came back with my tail between my legs, and I was in rock bands, you know, living at home and working in a warehouse and having fun. And I told my mom, I'm like, I want to save money and move to Portland, be in a band with my buddies. And she's like, I'll help you out if you go back to school. You have no marketable skills. You're a nice guy. You work hard, but like, you don't have anything anybody needs, you know? Cool.
Being white and cute ain't enough.
Yeah. It gets you close, but not all the way there.
Right. Yeah. That won't get you paid.
No. So we, I thought I was calling her bluff, and I was like, well, I want to go to audio engineering school, because she wasn't like anti the music stuff, but she was just sort of like, that's nice, you know? So I thought I was calling her bluff, and she's like, well, is there work in that? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I didn't know anything about it. So long story short, I went to audio school, ended up loving it, and got out of school and immediately started a business in the audio world. I did that.
So what kind of business did you start in the audio world?
When I was in school and shortly after, I was working in recording studios. And then recording studios get a lot of calls from places like churches and nightclubs and just hotels, whatever. They have a sound system that's broken and they don't necessarily know who to call. And they call a recording studio, and a recording studio is a pretty snobby place. And they're like, we're not going to help you. Click. So we were hungry, and we're like, how about you give us that phone number? We'll return the call.
We'll be right over.
Yeah, so we started fixing sound systems mostly at churches. And then it just grew and grew and grew. So I did that for just shy of 9 years. And when I left, we had, including my partner and I, there was like 12 employees.
Wow.
And it had grown into something. For something we started on accident, it turned out to be pretty good. He bought me out.
Now, okay, your partner, did you meet him in school?
He worked at a studio that I interned at. And we just sort of hit it off and became buddies, and then, hung out socially. And then, it wasn't long. We're talking like a matter of 6 months or less, probably, from meeting to going out and doing jobs. And what was cool about that business was you could grow it with no capital.
You just show up and fix it.
Needed. Yeah, this type of business that you and I are in is more like a restaurant, in terms of you can find ways to generate revenue before the whole machine is built, but you're not really, the business isn't full until you have all the pieces in place. You can't be like, I'm going to open a restaurant. Who wants food? It's like, you got to go lease a place. You got to build it out. You got to make a menu. You got to work for, you got to hire, you got to do a lot of stuff. So I think
tables.
our third job in the audio business, we're like, oh, we need to go buy a ladder. You know, I mean, it was like, our fifth job was like, if we had a shop vac, it would make cleaning up our mess a lot easier. You could grow it very easily.
Right.
Slowly, I should say. You didn't have to take a leap of faith. So this business has been eye-opening.
Yeah. So you're working with him for 9 years. Mm-hmm. You got along pretty well?
Yes. Like, we still get along. But it was also dysfunctional, I would say. Like, our partnership, it worked, but we fought like crazy, you know. So it would be.
What'd you fight over?
Pick something.
Anything, right?
Say what?
To anything.
And yeah, it was just a weird dynamic. Like, we just had slightly different priorities, and what we would say to ourselves, and I think it's true, but also I think we're trying to make ourselves feel better a little bit, is, yeah, this is an ugly dynamic, but at the end of the day, the compromise we come up with usually works and has the better parts of each individual. You know, if we can appease both people's perspective, then whatever we decide to do with the business, obviously it worked. The business was going pretty well, but it wasn't always fun to be in that dynamic. And it was also, though, if your back's against the wall, the other person is the one you wanted there with you to be on the job or fixing the thing. We trusted each other in that respect, for sure. There was no money issues or lack of respect of work ability and that stuff. It was just, you know, should we turn left or right? I think we should turn left. Well, he thinks we should turn right. Well, turning right's stupid. Well, turning left doesn't make any sense because that's not even important, you know? So.
And that went on for 9 years.
Yeah.
And why did the buying out come up? Did you want out?
Yeah, I did. He approached me, and he basically said, like, I can tell you're not that's into this anymore. I've always been into business in general, so he's not. So earlier in the business, I was the only, well, you know, a vast majority, the one between the two of us that was paying attention to the business. And he's very, by the same token, he's very naturally gifted with technology and stuff. So where we both started at a similar point, I became more business oriented, he became more technology oriented, which was good, but it also meant that things were just a little, you know, there'd be stress. But he sort of approached me and said, if this business fails, you'll go start another business doing something else. If this business fails, I'm going to go work for somebody else in the same industry. This is what I want to do until I know how to do. He's like, you know, I can buy you out. Do you want out? And I was like, let me talk to my fiance. So I sold that business in February of 2015. I got married in April of 2015.
Okay, hold up. Let's talk about the buyout.
Okay.
So you all were doing pretty well. Did he make loans? How was he able to?
He got a family loan.
Okay. All right. So he gets a family loan, buys you out. And what are you thinking now?
What am I supposed to do with myself now? I mean, for literally like for a couple of weeks, it's like you put on your clothes and then you just stand there. At the time we were living in like an apartment in the city. You just stand there and it's like, what am I supposed to do? And then what got really weird was after maybe a month, people that I normally used to work with, you know, other businesses that we were friendly with or customers that I was friendly with and stuff, would be like, hey, you want to grab lunch? And I was like, I can't, I'm super busy. Like, how did I go from running a company with employees and all this stuff, and I could find time for a lunch at least one day a week, and now I got no time to have lunch with anybody, and I don't even have a job. Like, what the, you know?
Why didn't you have time?
I don't remember. We were planning a wedding. Like, the wedding was 2 months later. We were starting the process. We're like, well, let's take some of this and buy a house. And so we're starting to look for a house, and you know, there's just a lot of moving parts, planning a honeymoon, and there's just personal stuff going on. So that was a nice spot to be in, you know. But I was like, yeah, I can't get lunch. Sorry, I'm busy. And everybody's like, with what? And I'm like, I don't know, just stuff.
I got stuff. I'm doing stuff.
Stuff. Yeah.
So how did you get into the wood part?
So after I sold the business, my wife works further north than where we lived. So she had like a 45-minute commute each day. And after I sold the business, I didn't need to be in that part of town anymore. So we bought a house up closer to her. And again, I didn't really know what to do with myself. And so I was like, well, I'll start buying tools. And I'm like, I'm going to build planter boxes for the backyard of our new house. And so I went to Lowe's and bought a DeWalt chop saw. I was like, cool. That was fun. I built it out of, fence, picket stuff. And then the internet got me. YouTube videos and
whose videos were you watching?
The Wood Whisperer. And well, it's funny, you interviewed Matt Cremona. The first time I saw him, it was like one of his early videos, and I was like, who is this guy? This is awful.
Right.
And
Who
then
the hell is this?
I came across him again like several months later, and it was a more recent video, and I was like, he's like my favorite guy now. He's just such a nice. Yeah. And it's like I learned a ton from him. Like I can only speak for myself, but like I don't know if some of these like content creators or influencers or whatever like understand what some of the stuff they put out there can spawn. Like they should pat themselves on the back for the information they put out, because you can learn how almost anything is done. Doesn't mean you can do it. So like you can learn how to mill a log on the internet for free, and then you go spend a bunch of money and time ruining a bunch of logs, or not ruining them, but hating yourself until you figure out how it should really be done. But a lot of those type of I was learning all the terminology and everything from scratch. I hadn't ever done any proper woodworking. I'd done carpentry type stuff, but yeah, so that's started getting into woodworking just because I had the time and the ability. But what was unusual about it was that I was in the position to deep dive immediately. Most people have a different job and then they take on a hobby, and if the hobby is woodworking, they can do it on some nights and some weekends and this and that. Whereas I was able to do like 10 or 12 hours a day, every day, researching or learning or researching a tool or buying stuff, or, going and figuring it out. And it was totally immersive for me. So I was able to, I don't mean in terms of like progress this to be some masterful woodworker, but I mean, I was able just to go far fast because I was able to learn fast because I was able to dedicate all my time to it.
Right. So how did that go from you buying a saw?
From the chop saw to like a bandsaw mill?
Yeah, chop saw, YouTube videos, Matt Cremona, to buying a saw.
Yeah.
Which model do you have?
Now I have a LT40 super hydraulic wide, and I have a LX250.
That's a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
So,
the first one I bought was a LT15 wide, so it was like I think I paid $9,200 or something like that for it. The first one, and at the time that was real scary. I first bought a chainsaw mill. I bought a Stihl 880 with a 36-inch bar, or I think a 41-inch bar and a 36-inch mill.
And how much was that?
All in with the mill, the bar, the saw, the bar, and like all the other stuff you need, wedges and this and that. It was probably maybe $3,000. And the first thing I milled, I got about 2 feet into the log, and it was Texas, and it was summer, and I was in the sun, and I went, I hate this. I hate this. I was like, I spent $3,000 to do this, and I hate it. I've been watching these videos for 6 months, and I'm doing it for 5 minutes, and I hate it.
That's what all we refer to. Those were crazy white boys.
Oh, it's awful. We have it. Awful. We have one now with a 60-inch bar, and I hope I never have to use it ever again.
What? That's different though. A 60-inch bar means you got a big tree, and that's big money.
It's more worth it.
Yes, that'll make you get. Yeah, I'll get up. I chainsaw milled for a little bit.
Yeah.
And like you, I was like, no, this is not the way.
No.
There's no way you could get any type of production done with that amount of waste, with that amount of quality, and with that amount of time. None.
Yeah. No.
None.
Yeah. As we got more and more serious, you know, because I started making small goods as a business, you know, cutting boards and all that kind of stuff. And then when I came across the idea of urban lumber, it's just the synapses just fired. And I was like, this is amazing. Why this makes so much sense. Why do we throw away our trees and then bring in trees from somewhere else? They're not magical trees that are different. You know, it might be a different species we don't have here, you know, then you got to go buy it. But sorry, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the first saw you had,
Yeah.
the chainsaw mill, and then, so how long ago did you switch from how long did it take you to buy a mill after the chainsaw mill?
Months.
Okay. So you were milling a good bit.
Yes. Well, at that time, it was just at the cusp where I felt like I was being irresponsible if I went and picked up a log or was out milling something, because I had orders for finished products that I wasn't fulfilling. I should be back making the thing. You know, I've got 10 of these things. I don't want to. I want to be out here milling it. And it's not that I didn't make them. It's that, you know, I made them the next day. And you get, you know, I'm sure you're the same way. When you first start this, you get the fear of missing out thing. You see a log available. It might be the last log I ever see available, you know? And so you drop it.
Hold it. Let me say, with that being said, there is an urgency for a good log.
For a good log, yeah. Yeah.
If you can eye a good log, you need to get that log now.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it may not be there tomorrow.
Correct. Yeah. It'll be around here. It'll be in a burn pile tomorrow.
Yeah. There'll be another log tomorrow, but that log may not be the one you want.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. There's definitely different levels of priority, and it gets hard because you know, sometimes like a tree service or somebody wants to know, like, when do we call you and when don't we? It's like, well, there's a sliding scale. I'm not going to drive across town for a 15-inch water oak log, but I might for a 16-inch walnut, which is really uncommon here, you know.
I tell them, call me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, okay, can you send me a picture?
Yep.
Red oak. Thanks, I don't need that.
Yeah. Yep.
And it got to the point to where, you know, after doing a few months, they were trained. We trained each other, and they would call me when they get the good stuff. Now they know, only call me if you got white oak or walnut.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's it. That's it. I'll buy that walnut, and I'll take the white oak for free.
Gotcha. Yeah, we've been working pretty regularly recently with a tree company that has a crane. It's the best thing ever. I show up empty. I don't have to haul my skid steer. I don't have to par buckle stuff. I sit there and drink coffee while they put the biggest logs I have are the easiest I've ever recovered, because I couldn't have probably even recovered them without that crane, you know. And it's just stand there and chat someone up until it's time to put some straps over that thing and drive off. So, all in a day's work.
Just like that.
Yeah. I mean,
and that machinery makes it go so fast.
Yeah, and they're a good crew. Like they don't ever, you know, they know what they're doing. They obviously work well together. They don't do anything that makes me nervous, you know.
Yeah, when I first started this, you know, 14 years ago with a trailer.
Yeah.
And I was 5 years with that trailer. And man, I had a railroad jack and I had a floor jack.
Wow.
2-ton floor jack. The railroad jack could get it off the ground. The 2-ton floor jack could get under there and get it up to go on a trailer. Then it would bag up, have it on a pipe and a trailer and a winch.
Mm-hmm.
The winch would just pull it on.
Yep.
That didn't take long at all.
Yeah.
But when you had to double stack it, the double stacking took, I took a little time.
Yeah, that's not real easy to do without being able to set it on top.
Yeah. But again, that's a pipe on top of the 2 logs, winch pulling it in the center, and to pull it right on top. But you know, there's you got to get the proper coordination with the pipe. It's got to get a certain amount.
This is exactly the thing. This type of thing I was talking about earlier, right? Loading a log, not a very sexy thing, right? But there's so, if you do it for long enough, you learn, or enough times, there's so many small little details or tricks or little things you can deep dive into how to get this log that doesn't want to move onto that thing, you know. And there's just so many options, and if you do it, it's just a learning process, you know. Now I without a skid steer or something, I can get a log on my truck in probably 20 minutes that I could have never ever gotten on my truck in a month, you know, 4 years ago or something. It would have driven off. But you just pick up on little stuff. Or we did one recently, the skid steer wouldn't pick it up. I couldn't pick up the whole thing. And it was 2 logs, they're almost identical from a tree. And the first one, we par buckled it up the side, and that worked. But I hate all the rigging and all that, you know, it's just a little bit tedious, and it was hot. And so we took that one back, and we're going together. And I was like, we have a skid steer. Why don't I just pick up one end of it? We picked up one end of it, backed the truck under it, set it down. I went and picked the other end up and shoved it on the truck. We pulled up, got the skid steer off the trailer, got the trailer off the truck, put a strap around one end of the log, lifted it up, backed the truck up, other end, got it on, strapped the log down, got the trailer back on the truck, got the skid steer back on the trailer and strapped down. 32 minutes, all in. You know, I would have been there for 7 hours and not gotten the log, you know, 4 years ago. But.
Listen, let me tell you, it took you too long to figure that one out.
Yeah, well, I was like, that's easier than par buckling, you know. It's like, there's very few logs that we can't pick up with our skid steer, and that one we just couldn't. So
yeah, some of them are they're just too heavy.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's funny because 2 logs will look the same.
Yeah, they might not be the same density.
Yeah, it won't be anything alike in density, and that sometimes gets me, because I could probably, like that log that we put in the back of my van.
I enjoyed watching that.
It was 12 foot, and it was 25 inches.
And I can't remember, you said you responded to someone said something. You use a van because of the laws around work trucks in New York, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, the way it works, right, is, now remember, right, and a lot of guys, some of these guys that jump on the stuff hadn't seen my feed, hadn't followed me.
Oh,
I've been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah.
Successfully.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, if there's a trick,
yeah,
I tried it and it doesn't work.
Well, hey, maybe with their help, your 15th year, you'll finally figure something out.
You know what's up, Delita? This is Black Box Press. She's Houston as well.
Oh yeah, I think I might follow.
Yeah, you've seen her video. Yeah, she was a while ago. She was one of the first.
Nice.
So the thing with a truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a rollback, and that's the truck that I purchased. I purchased a rollback. There's licenses, CDL, and there's truck maintenance. All of that stuff costs. With the trailer and a truck, my van is 3,500, it's heavy duty. It's extended, so I could put an 11-foot table in there without a problem.
Nice.
I could put slabs in there without a problem. We have parkways, turnpikes. The turnpike doesn't matter. The parkway, you cannot drive commercial. So I have a commercial van, and it allows me to park and go through the different parkways where other nights could not go through with a commercial plate.
Okay.
Commercial puts you into a completely different category. And like you, with my trailer, I show up, they load it, I drive and it's done.
Yep.
I don't have to pay for maintenance. I don't have a truck note. Have you ever been stopped by the DOT?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I've never been stopped by the DOT because they think that you're just a homeowner moving the law.
Yeah.
But the minute they assume that you're a business, it becomes a different story.
Yeah.
And they start stopping you. So all of those things work. Now, when I was moving at Walnut, Kingfisher, I did not pick up that by hand. When I was moving at Walnut, I was on
With your finger. You didn't need the whole hand. Had coffee in the other 4.
When I found that Walnut, it was a guy who was new into the business, right? It's a black guy.
Mm.
And I said, he wrote in the post, I'm going to mill a big walnut. And I'm like, why don't you just buy it? Well, I said, I'll buy it from you. How much do you want for it? And he goes, for all of the slabs that you get out of this, I got to get 150. And I'm like, how much? He goes, 150. I said, okay, where you at?
Yeah.
I said, where you at? He goes, I'm in Jersey. I said, well, give me your address. I said, I was getting the window fixed in the back of that van that you saw came off.
Okay.
I was in Jersey already. I said, GPS says I'll be to you in 24 minutes. I'm on the way. He goes, okay. Because I knew if I did not go and pick that log up for $150,
Yeah. All gone.
the next guy would, because he knew that the guy he was talking to didn't know what he was talking about.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So I zoomed over there, looked at it, and the guy's new into the business, so he doesn't know. Right? And I wasn't going to inform him until after I paid him the $150 for the log. So I told him what we were going to do, and he was game. So the guy has the work mentality to get it done, get it done, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And we get it in, right? And he's like, let me take the seat out. I was like, he looked, he goes, sure, boss, I'll take the seat out. So he pulled the seat out, right in there.
Nice.
Now, that took a little longer than it should have. It took us maybe like an hour.
Okay.
But it shouldn't have taken an hour. It should have taken about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had to do it with them again, it would take us that long.
Yeah.
But they've never been, all this was new to them. The guy just started cutting trees. He's trying to make a little money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't, for me, that 24-foot, that 25-inch, 12-foot walnut log, for me, we got 6 boards out of that.
Nice.
At 2 1/4. That's 3 tables.
Yeah.
That's
You'll probably almost double your money.
almost.
I hope the sarcasm is making it through the pixels.
Almost. I could probably double my money.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just for the little inconvenience that it caused me,
Yeah.
the return on it is it's
Yeah.
unquestionable. And the log was straight. I mean, it was almost too straight.
Yep. And you yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying you and I talked about this when we chatted like a week or something ago, and it's the return on what you paid for that log is huge. But that doesn't mean that the log is worth whatever you turned it into. You know, you've got a lot of equipment, you've got space you got to pay for, you got expertise, you got time, you've got risk, you've got to sell this thing. Just because it's there doesn't mean it sells itself.
Yeah, it's going to sit right. Like now, we cut it immediately. Yeah. So it's going to sit a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. But a lot of people have you see people want $10,000 for their standing dead walnut tree that's 1 foot from their house, and you got to cut it down and take off all the limbs and this. It's like, you're going to have to pay someone $5,000 to cut it down. You think I'm going to pay you $10,000 to haul off your trash? It's like, that's not, people look at it and go, There's 4 dining tables in there. I want $10,000. Yeah, but it's not. You don't just kick it and dining tables fall out of it. You know, there's a lot of steps and risk between point A and point Z, I guess. But
yeah, that they don't know happen, that they
Yeah.
don't care. They just Billy down the street told me that you can make gun stock out of this. I checked the internet. Some guy's selling these tables for $20,000. So this got to be worth half of that.
Cool. Let me know when you're burning this. I'll bring some beers.
Right. It's like, no, man, it don't work like that.
No. Yeah. It's.
I just bought a really big walnut.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted it was 49, 50 inches and 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still in the people's backyard because I need to get the right thing to move it out.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of holes in it. I think the bottom had a 6-foot hole that was maybe 6 inches wide. And she's pulling her phone up, right? She's like, "Oh, this one sold for $17,000. That one sold for $17,000." And I'm like, "Lady, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So, because they were at a price and she didn't want to move. She was at a price that she didn't want to move, and I figured out why she didn't want to move, because she owed the neighbor on the tree, so she had to sell it for X to split it with the neighbor.
Gotcha.
And I found that out when I paid her, walked off. She went straight to the neighbor's house.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't mind people being, this is like a niche inside of a niche inside of a niche, right? I don't expect just someone that does whatever their normal people job is to understand the nuances and of all this stuff. So I understand why someone's like, I want $5,000 for this, but if you sort of explain it to them and they act like you're trying to rip them off, I'll just walk away. It's like a lot of people go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that way." Someone in my church told me that they were worth a bunch of money. I don't know. It's like the people aren't necessarily trying to be jerks or rip somebody off or whatever. They just don't know what they don't know. And you can try and it's always hard when you're the one that you're in business and you stand to benefit off of something, and to have to also be the one educating somebody, because it's the same with we do kiln drying for people. And there's I know of 3 kilns around here, and we own 2 of them. And so it feels weird to try and encourage people to do something that they need to do, but that requires them to give me money, because there's not really other options, So it's sort of, I try and tell them what the alternative way is if they want to do it without a kiln. If you've got 3 years and your spouse doesn't care if it sits in the house for a few months at the end of that 3 years, then you can do this without a kiln, as long as there's no bugs in it and stuff. But it's just a weird feeling. Same thing with buying logs or dealing with logs, or telling somebody you don't want to buy their log, you'll take it, but you don't want to buy it. Or you're there because it's worth something to you, but it's not really worth something until you do something to it. And it's being the person educating someone on that can be tricky sometimes.
Yes, right, because you're kind of biased, but the information is unbiased. Yeah. You can do whatever you want with the information.
Yeah.
One thing benefits me, but it still needs to get done. So if that's the issue, it's going to benefit someone.
Yeah.
So King Fisherman wants to know, what kind of kilns do you have?
I have 2 iDry vacuum kilns. I've got a standard and a plus. So
what's the difference?
Size. The small one, the standard one, will do 2,000 board feet, and the plus will do 4,000 board feet. And then the length and the width. So we can do about 50 inches wide and 13 feet long in the standard, and 56-ish. Is that right? No, 60 something inches wide and 17 feet long in the plus.
Okay, so let's say this. You have a log that's 4 feet wide, 16 feet long. And can you mill that whole log and put it in the kiln?
Yeah, because on our LX250, we can do 54.5 inches between the guides and 18.5 feet long.
Okay.
And then the kiln will do 17 and more than 4 feet.
And how tall is it?
How tall is the kiln?
Yeah.
The small one, your lumber stack is like 55 inches, and I actually don't remember on the big one. It's probably another foot more than that, you know.
All right, so someone brings a big log to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can mill it, then you can dry it.
Mm-hmm.
From the time they drop it off until the time they pick it up, how much time does it take you to process that log?
So if we're milling and drying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of things. A lot of species will go straight into the kiln off the mill. We won't with oak, or we at least encourage people to let it sit for a few months first. If someone is just hell bent on it going in the kiln, I mean, I'll put it in the kiln, but you just get a better result waiting. But if right now the problem is just bandwidth. We've got so much work that we're backed up. But if we mill it and put it in the kiln, like I could theoretically, I could mill, if you drop off a log and it could get milled and go straight in the kiln, you could have dry lumber in a month off the mill. Say it was like a pecan log or something else, or walnut.
Is pecan hard to dry? Is it? What is the wood like?
I don't have a hard time drying it, really, especially in these kilns. It's a hickory. It's very
we
simple.
need a tour. We got 12 minutes. We need a tour.
Okay. I'll say, well, I'm getting that going. I think a lot of things.
Can you talk and walk?
Yeah. I haven't done it before, but I'm gonna give it a shot for you.
Thank you, brother.
Okay. So here we'll go outside real fast. We moved to this property last year. We bought this. We're on 1.5 acres, and it so happens to have a house on it. So we wouldn't have bought a house for the business, but it was here and we use it. So,
okay. So you bought it for the land and there's a house on it.
Yeah. So there's a house.
So you
here.
got 2 cribs.
Yeah. I should be on MTV in the early 2000s. So we've got a bunch of logs out front, some stuff waiting to go in the kiln under here. And
Slow down. Whoa. What you got out there, homeboy? What you got out there?
Those are logs.
What kind?
Lots of pecan. Where's my finger? Lots of pecan, more pecan. Some live oak. Live oak is a bear to deal with. The stuff's hard as a rock. I think the Jenka hardness on live oak is like 2650, something like that. It's ridiculous. We got some elm logs here. More pecans, some sycamore up there. We have some ash hiding in here somewhere. And some sweet gum. And Chinese tallow. This guy right there's a Chinese tallow.
What is Chinese tallow?
Here a lot of people call them like a popcorn tree or something. They have these little like tri-lobed green beads on them, and then they there's some cedar. They turn white and then they turn black and fall off. But it's a really light wood, but it spalts really nicely.
Okay.
So here's our skid steer. That's I bought it old and beat up, and I've only made it older and more beat up. We have a F550 with a flatbed.
Nice.
So I'm actually supposed to go pick up my new trailer today. Someone did drop a 10,000-pound log on my other trailer and total it. So we have a new 20 plus 5, 20,000-pound trailer that is done being built. So, and I use a. Say, go ahead.
So you had a trailer built.
Yeah. And they, it's just it's a deck over with the ramp down the back, but it's a pintle hitch. I don't like using goosenecks because I haul the logs on the truck bed. So a lot of times the trailer's hauling the skid steer and a few logs. But if I have a gooseneck, I can't use my bed to haul big logs because the gooseneck's in the way. More stuff. So we usually under here we have stuff stacked up that's air drying. and we're just moving a bunch of stuff. Everything's chaos here right now. Everyone wants whatever they want right before the holiday. So we do most of our milling on this. If it fits on this, we do it on this because it's got all the hydraulic handling. So, you know, loading, flipping, clamping, leveling,
It's a beautiful thing.
All the good stuff. And this is what I was wrangling this morning right before our conversation we're currently on. In here we have a wood shop. I have not opened that up yet. I don't have my key on me. It's a normal wood shop stuff.
All good.
And this tarp we just put up, we're working on putting the roof on. I was hoping I was going to get 2 months out of the tarp, but I got like 8 days and we had a big storm come through. So this is anything that won't fit on the first mill, we put on this mill because we can do about 55-inch diameter. It's 54.5 between the guides. And we have one bed extension, so we can do just shy of 19 feet. It's like 18 feet, 10 inches or something like that.
All right. Now, do you use that one often?
Not yet. We only got it set it up in February or March. So we do use it regularly, but it's we need to get more into processing. Right now, I'm trying to hire more people so that we can get more stuff processed. It's just been tough.
So what are you looking to hire? Who are you looking to hire?
I need a sawyer, really, but we live in a pretty metropolitan area, and that's not a thing where we're at, you know. Yeah,
you're gonna have to train somebody.
Yeah, I've got a buddy who has another business who knows how to run a sawmill. He's gonna start coming down and helping a couple days a week. So more logs back here. Scrap pile, more logs. This right here is the log that broke the other trailer. They dropped this log on it from about 3 feet up. Someone didn't understand how to use their excavator.
What kind of wood is that?
It's a red oak. And that's a customer project. So they bought a residential property and they took down the house, putting in a new house, and that tree was in the way. And now we're going to make them a dining table and a desk and some to be determined stuff, probably a coffee table or benches or something.
That's the kind of work you need.
Yep. So we do a lot of that. Most of our furniture work, we don't promote a ton the furniture work that we do. Most of it is the end result of the lumber work we do, if that makes sense. So most of the furniture we build is with building something for someone with their own tree.
Oh, so this is the building you have built?
Yeah. So there's one of the...
If you're still on here, take a look.
Say what?
Black Box Press. So she's putting the building up. And you were going through it. I said she's still on to take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So here we have a Wood Whiz, our big surfacing machine. So here we can surface 72 inches wide and just shy 18 feet long in one go. This is a piece somebody dropped off yesterday for us to surface. So it's nice.
How long would it take to surface that piece?
Probably there's a big dip, so probably maybe 4 hours. If it was a little more even, it would be a lot less, but it looks like they did a good job, but they didn't need the thickness, so they didn't waste the epoxy, but there's a solid 1/4 inch right there that's gonna have to come off just to get to the epoxy. But
and what would you charge for that?
We charge by the square foot. I think this came out to $3 something.
All right. Okay.
And there's one kiln there. So we bought this kiln after we built the building, and we measured, double checked, measured, you know, and it fits in here by less than 3 inches total combined front and back.
Woo.
Yeah.
As long as it fits.
It was scary, man. It's a lot of money to spend and have it not even fit in the building, you know?
Right.
So I can open them up so you can see them. But it's
I
gotta crawl over.
Open up, that'd be cool.
We just unloaded the kilns yesterday, so we had probably 4,500 board feet of stuff come out of the kiln, and it's chaos. Sorry, one-handing you while I open.
It's all good, my brother.
Here, stare at walnut or the price tag.
Never bad sight.
Yeah. There we go. So the little baby eye dry and the newer eye dry.
Oh, so you got both in there.
Yeah. So they're side by side. So
Okay, let me ask you this.
sure.
Can walk to the left of the building.
This way.
Yep. All right, turn the camera facing the building. Go to the absolute left, the side. Why can't you put your kilns there?
They need to be out in a non-rain and no freezing. Freezing's not really an issue here, but no rain. And we originally built that for what's being used for now as a covered area to air dry. So.
Okay. Just asking.
Oh yeah. Trust me, we ran the original plan was to put it in. Where's my finger? There we go. So the garage over here is a 2-car garage on this side, separated by a wall with a 1-car garage on that side. We were going to put it in the 1-car garage, and then we're like, well, no, it makes more sense to use that space for wood shop space. Blah blah blah. We'll buy a shipping container, and then that didn't make sense for various reasons, and so screw it, we're all in. Let's just build a building. So.
Yeah, no. Let me tell you. I think the building is great.
Yep.
I think at one point you're gonna slide those things to the left. That'll be when you're growing and you have to. It's not a problem now.
Yeah. Well, honestly, what'll happen is there's next behind this building is 2.5 acres we'd like to eventually purchase. Because right now one of the things is we're maxed out on electricity without doing a significant upgrade. So our electrician, I keep trying to negotiate physics with my electrician, and he keeps insisting that it doesn't work like that. I'm like, yeah, but we don't actually use that much electricity all at one time. And he's like, yeah, but you still have to build it this way. I'm like, but I don't want to, you know.
Let me tell you. Talk to someone else. The same for me.
Yeah.
I have 200 amps coming in.
Yeah.
And my machines way exceed that.
Yeah.
So I put whips, I put plugs on the end.
Yeah.
If the electrical company measured everything hardwired, they would tell me I can't operate.
Yeah.
Because the machines have too much power.
Yeah.
But when I put a plug on the end,
yep,
and I plug it in and take it out.
Yep. Yeah. You can only plug in so many machines because you only have so many outlets. You're fine.
Yeah. And plus, hell, you can only use one machine at a time.
Yep. We have, our big usage is just the kilns, and that's what really put us over. They're not that major. It's 260 amp circuits. It's not huge, but we're on a residential property. It wasn't built to have that much, you know, so like there's no 220 anywhere. We had to get 220 to the garage, 220 to the building, more, you know, it's just, we're running out of that. So the way of scaling is probably to buy the property eventually next to us if we can luck out and all the timing and opportunity works out right.
Are they available? Is it available?
It's abandoned right now. We know who owns it, but it's just dilapidated structure on it, and
we got 20 seconds. We can get off and come back on, or you can go get to work.
I probably need to go to work, unfortunately. You and I will talk again later, though.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I had fun.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
Thank you all.
Be safe.